another centered life.
Oh,
Good
live.
morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to balance an other centered life? I have. Once or twice, or three times, or four times. Do you have any thoughts, Nick?
Apparently, I don't. I didn't know we could talk through the music. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Now I know. What's up, Giants?
Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed, like an infomercial, that your hammer doesn't hammer nails as good as it should? Have you ever have you ever tried cutting through chicken legs with a fork? Yeah. That's our show, guys. Wrap it
That's
up.
all we got.
No, here's the realization I'm having is that we live in a Western culture, pretty heavily focused on individualism, and there's a lot of countries that focus on Western culture. And so individualism creates some of its own issues. In Eastern cultures, they're more other-centered, and Western cultures we're more self-centered,
Hmm.
right? And so we focus on ourselves. And there was a comment I was reading. It said, enough talking about me. Let me hear from you. What do you think about me? And that's kind of the question, right? It's like, yeah. So we tend to talk and focus in on ourselves. And in Eastern cultures, I was reading an article this morning in Psychology Today, and it talked about the idea that that we look at what's wrong with me, and in other cultures, they look at what's wrong with the situation. And that helps them move through the emotions because it's not about them. Because what happens with depression and things like that is we self-isolate. It's a disease of loneliness. And so when you get self-centered, notice how much your world becomes depressed and how much sadness is present when you're focused on what's wrong with me. Why am I different? We become so self-absorbed that we lose sight of what's possible in the world around us. And one of the things that has really served me in this community, in the tribe of giants, is that I might go into that space, but I'm pulled out nearly immediately by the opportunity to be with others, to serve others, to share thoughts with others. There's power in focusing on others. And it's not that we lose ourselves, there's just power in it. In fact, I find myself more often in the service of others than I do when I try and figure out all the reasons that are wrong with me.
Hmm.
What comes up as you hear that?
I already know what's wrong with me. It's a pretty big list. I've
Yeah.
already spent that time. So if you've already spent that time figuring out your
What's
list,
funny is the only person in the world that has that list is you,
is
the
us, right?
individual,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I was thinking about because I feel like I'm that way.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very other centered a
Yeah.
lot. Hey, good
Okay.
morning. And but what I've realized lately too is that if you're not okay, or if you're not healthy, or your cup's not full, it's very draining, or you don't set up boundaries. Mm. That
Yeah. I'm
you,
going to give a twist to that. Okay.
yeah, I give, and there's nothing left for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You can be
That makes sense.
too other centered,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not taking care of your needs. Where you're
Naturally,
getting,
my
yeah.
personality is I love everybody. Like,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
love you too, right? Like I'm that
Uh-huh.
personality. There's balance inside of all of that as well, and I found that as I'm healed and as I'm okay, I'm able to give in a healthy way as
Yeah,
well.
there's gotta be a balance. In our culture, we think, we got to be happy. So anything outside of happiness is unacceptable. I had a really deep coaching conversation last night.
Hmm.
And this individual was questioning, like, well, how do you do this? And all these how-to questions, like, is there a process that I can use that would shortcut going through the negative emotions so that I'm back to positive as soon as possible? Right? That's the question. And it's like, you don't want to experience negative emotions, where in other cultures there will be this space for that. It's the situation, it's not the person. It doesn't define who you are. But then you might find, like you're saying, that you give up so much of yourself that you have zero identity, that your identity is the group. And so how do you balance that? And one is recognizing that there's a spectrum, that there's a continuum, that you're going to go from sadness to happiness. If it were on a scale, there would be a lot of gray area between it. It's not like you're just one or the other. And we tend to think black or white, all or nothing, which is a fallacy. Like there rarely is there's not this thing of I am all happy.
Hmm.
Like, happiness is an emotion. It's designed to be fleeting. It's an emotion. It's like, the part of the conversation last night was this. If you were happy, you wouldn't have a series of I am statements that say I am horrible, right? I am a terrible person. It's like, the example I use is Fester Adams, right? And he's like, he wakes up happy, and the first thing he wants to do is read his affirmations of negativity. Like, I am the worst person in the world. I'm a terrible human. I hate others, right? Like, we don't do that in the other direction. And so the idea is that we shouldn't be sad, or we shouldn't be lonely. And the problem is, when we withdraw from others completely, then it becomes a problem. If we give too much to others, it becomes a problem. There's no balance in it. It's
Mm.
all or nothing in one direction or the other. So what do you hear in that?
Um, just that is that like and I'm giving myself grace to feel those emotions and heal, but finding that balance inside of it all. Um, there's been a lot of growth that's occurred in me over the last little bit of um, listening to what is in here,
Hmm.
versus like coming from up here a lot,
Yeah, yeah,
and um, listening to what Ryan needs, but also feeling into what other people can use, and also sharing those experiences. I think that in sharing um, what works and what doesn't work, it can help others inside of it. In more less of a, not looking for pity or validation or anything like that, but sharing, okay, this is what I found that works for me. What's working for you? And so that others can find other, like, some tools to work through.
yeah.
Um, you know, but
So
yeah.
so what about this as a thought, right? Let's say that Ryan is out there, give, and he's losing himself. The way to regain himself is to be self-centered, right?
Which is almost, yeah, it's kind of interesting how, because I was thinking about that exact thing. I'm like, how to balance an other-centered life is to actually be a little bit self-centered,
Yeah,
but
and
not in the negative connotation of that word.
yeah, it's a focus on self,
Yeah.
right?
I was
And
I
then
w I was feeling this, like, centered, like
yeah,
coming
yeah.
from a clear good space.
And then finding that you're self-centered completely and you're feeling depressed and lonely, the way out is to become other-centered, right? Focus on others. So when you're
Mhm.
feeling at your low of lows, go engage with society. Go
Yeah.
engage and serve somebody. When you're feeling dissipated and deluded and you're losing out on what you need, then pull back in, withdraw, and people would think, well, you can't do that, right? I got to give, or I got to take. It's a balancing of both. Like, there will be it's situational. That's what I love, is that in other cultures, they'll look at the situation. We look at what's wrong with me. They're looking at what's wrong with the situation and what is the solution that comes from a situation. Because if it's me, we don't see a solution. If it's a situation, we do.
Mhm.
And so start looking at the situation as an opportunity to create something. Like if I'm losing myself in the service of others and I feel dissipated and diluted and like I don't matter and I don't like how I feel in that, then I can pull back. The situation says you're giving too much of yourself, pull back a little bit. If you're feeling so lonely and depressed that you don't have any hope for life, well, the situation is that you're isolated, right? So go get with people, go serve somebody, right?
Yeah,
Huh.
like that.
Happiness is not a constant. Yeah, people think that is something wrong when they're not feeling it. They're not. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is an emotion. It's an emotion. So an emotion stems from some of the thoughts that we're having and some of the perceptions that we're having. So happiness is no different from sadness or anger. It's an emotion. Yet we think it should be permanent as though it's an identity. Happiness as an identity. And there was a study that was done where they tested people and they created a room where everything was happy. You know, all the pictures, everything in there said that you're happy when you accomplish something, right? And then they did this test and they had another room that was neutral. There was nothing in it. And so they did the same test in both rooms. And those that were in the happiness room were more depressed than those in the neutral room because they thought that they were missing out or were not aligned with what is.
Hmm.
See, Hughes shared something with me the other day about the illusion of isolation, the illusion of separation, right? That we're separated from somebody. What we're doing is in society, I could be in my house feeling depressed, feeling alone, like nobody cares, and have everybody in the world around me. And so it's this illusion that I'm separated. And so we're not separated from each other. We're connected to each other. So why not use that? If you're feeling isolated and alone, go out there and be with other people. If you're being too much with other people that you're not with yourself, then pull back a little bit. Try being with yourself. That's the balancing.
I like it when people discover what does fill their cup up and find that balance. I think that Hugh talked about it. Here that he finds that as he's giving, that
Yeah.
that recharges him. And if you give too much and it's draining your energy, then just
Pull
be
back.
aware,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
conscious. It comes back to that state of consciousness and what's working for you. And so,
That's
yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah,
I love it. Any other thoughts in there that
it's beautiful. I'm grateful for all you beautiful people and for what you do for filling up my cup. And so, yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
it's a back and
And I
forth.
like the perspective from everyone as well because that helps me grow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have a tribe. And it's a beautiful thing also to have your alone time. Like there's a balancing between that. And so um, that's where it pulls me out to be able to go and just serve somebody, be in a coaching conversation with somebody, because then it pulls me out of my thinking. And so if you're in a space where you're feeling alone and isolated and really down, go jump into the tribe.
Hmm.
Go find somebody that you could serve. Go listen to somebody's story, right? So yeah, that's it. That's it.
Now
The
go make
end.
it a giant day. That's it. The end. And
And
see.
cut. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Love you too.